Former Prime Minister Abdelmadjid Tebboune has won the presidential election. This has been confirmed in the past hour by the Electoral Commission. It's counted the numbers, confirming the result from Thursday's contest. It says Tebboune has won just over 58% of the vote. It means no need for a second round. The election follows more than 40 weeks of protests. It was mass demonstrations that forced former President Abdelaziz Bouteflika out of office in April. He had ruled for 2 decades. Protesters wanted a boycott of this vote. They said it was a sham by the ruling elite to preserve the status quo. All 5 of the state-approved candidates who stood for the presidency, they all have links to Bouteflika. Let's go to Algiers and speak to my colleague Alijan Ayanla. Who is this man, Abdelmadjid Tebboune?
Well, he's the new Prime Minister of Algeria, Abdelmadjid Tebboune. He ran as an independent candidate in these elections. He's 74 years old, and he was a part of the FLN, the National Liberation Front, the only party that's ruled the country since gaining independence from France in 1962. Tebboune previously served as the country's prime minister, as you mentioned, but only for a brief period back in 2017. He was removed from office by Bouteflika after a short while, and what's believed to be behind his removal from office was the fact that he ordered an investigation into a high-level figure that was accused of money laundering and bribery. Now, at the time, this move by Prime Minister Tebboune was very well received by the Algerian people, but his role as Prime Minister didn't last long, and as I just mentioned, Bouteflika removed him from the top post. To put Tebboune's previous PMship, Prime Ministership, into perspective and a timeline, it's actually quite interesting because he served after Salal and before Ouahia. Now, these names might sound vaguely familiar, all because both of these names, you may remember, they're former prime ministers, but they were very recently, on Tuesday, in fact, convicted in a massive embezzlement trial and sentenced to 12 and 15 years in prison. So the former Prime Minister Tebboune back at the top of Algerian politics, this time around as the new president.
Alijan, what's the popular reaction going to be?
Well, not well, or perhaps better put, the best out of the worst in terms of the perspective from the majority of Algerians, because they all boycotted this vote. Adnan, as we've been talking with you over the past couple days, the reason why most of these Algerians have boycotted this vote was because all of the 5 candidates, in the eyes of the protesters, were from the political establishment. What does that mean? Well, they're basically saying that this is going to be nothing but a continuation of the past and current regime. And like for so many weeks now, we are expecting the protesters to pour out into the streets just as soon as the Friday prayer finishes.